So we have got about 45 minutes left, and that is going to be dedicated to a hands-on activity. We're going to do two things. We're going to create the beginning of an assessment plan, and then we're going to create a rubric. All right? Okay, so if I may have your attention, all eyes up here for just 2 seconds. All right, so we've been working with this Proficiency Guidelines booklet, and as you pointed out, it's very technical, right? We've got words like interlocutor. It's a little hard to understand sometimes. So what I want to ask us to work with are the performance descriptors. So that's this one. And you're going to open up to page 14 and 15. Those are the pages you're going to be using for this next activity. Page 14 and 15 looks like this on the outside and this on the inside. Huh? You don't have one? Okay. So I hear some people going, oh, I understand this better. So the performance guidelines are a distilled version of the proficiency guidelines. And so we're going to use those today in conjunction with can-do statements. So we need a plan. And I want to talk about how we tie this all together, if it will let me. All right, so we spent the first half, more than half, talking about achievement, proficiency, and performance, focusing kind of on assessing proficiency. And this is these are the steps we've walked through today, right? So we talked about identifying an overall proficiency goal and identifying proficiency benchmarks. And then based on that, you author performance goals, and then based on that, you author goals for specific activities, which we're going to use the can-do statements for. So, activity 1, I want you to think about the language programs in which you work or in which you will be working. Have you got something in mind? Yes or no? You could just nod or sorta. Need a little help, or you just want to think it through? Okay. All right. So you can decide to work individually, or you guys can work collaboratively. So each table can come up with one goal. If you want to think about one specific setting, that's fine too. It's whatever you prefer for this activity. So to start, you're going to figure out what is the overall proficiency goal for the program you have in mind. So it could be a program or a class. And you're going to use the booklet I gave you. Take a look at that and decide which proficiency range is your overall goal. That's your first task, okay? I'm going to give you 10 minutes. All right, I heard some really beautiful things, so I'm going to pick on a few groups just for the diversity of ideas, okay? And I'm going to start with Ruth. I'm going to ask Ruth to share one. She's going to share her proficiency goals. She's going to describe the kind of program she's thinking of. And she's going to talk a little bit about the performance level tasks that her learners are going to be doing to get them up to intermediate low.
Yes, everybody. You can pass the microphone.
Okay. We went with our children being in the novice range. Because they come to our school, and we're dealing with 5-year-old kindergarten kids, they come to our school without any knowledge, not speaking, not even hearing, not understanding the language. And so one of the goals that we would have, or the concepts we want them to do, is a self-identity with these 5-year-olds. And that would reflect on their name that they're given at the birth, which reflects clans. So they would know, have to know what their clan is in Hopi, and then their village affiliation, those 3 concepts. And then as they go up in the months, then we add on, agricultural calendar. And then we have an agricultural calendar that we follow, then a ceremonial calendar. It's like the Anglo calendar. We have a ceremony, something going on within the villages at certain times of the month, along with the agriculture. Hopis are farmers, and so the agriculture plays a big part. And which brings in the ceremonial calendars, is because our dances and everything we do is we pray for rain to help us with our dry farming out there. And so this kind of has a connection, and all of these, we have 11 villages. And at the same time, these activities are going on in all these 11 villages. And so everybody connects the Hopi to the community in that sense. So with this, and again, another important part that was brought up was the time allotment we have with these children. Sometimes it's only once a week deal. I know I have that with my upper grades, and I don't think that's enough. But then with these little ones, we could, do a lot more with them, as they go, because they're like sponges. They are receptive to the language and to what we are teaching. So, anybody else? Okay, that's it. Ascoli.
Asquali. Okay. All right, so we had over here, this group wants to work with kindergartners, right, 5-year-olds. And then we have over here a different model. This is a self-guided model. You want to talk a little bit?
Okay, for mine is for our little project that we came up with is I work at Second Mesa Day School, where I'm a parent liaison, so I work directly with the parents. And with them, we establish and conduct surveys of different sources, and home life surveys is one of the biggest. So with that, we came up with the idea of providing a 5-question survey. But with that 5-question survey, they would be required and strongly encouraged to answer in Hopi. So therefore, it'll give them that accountability in trying to be able to find the resources on how to answer these surveys, and it can be really it'll be beneficial for them to go to their resources to get the answers. So to move parents from novice high to intermediate low in the area of language proficiency. So they would be told, and that we would be eventually asking them to be, to answer these surveys in Hopi. So a lot of our parents are really young and they're not immersed in the language. With that, they would give, we would give the parent liaison and or the Hopi language teacher could be one of the resources that can be valuable to assist. After that, we're gonna kind of wean them off on how to answer those specific questions. And then we're gonna, our second task would be to give it to the community, to have them go into the community and ask their parents or their community elders or whoever may be there who's immersed in the language to help them answer these specific questions. And so it'll eventually trickle on to our students to where as they'll be having to communicate with one another. And these questions could be as simple as, how they're progressing in school, how do they like the school institution, or how are they feeling in going to this area, or what is their needs of assistance that they're needing to succeed in the institution, or where do they live, or who's your mother, who's your father, how many siblings do you have? So those are the kind of the basic things that the kids will eventually be able to answer as we require, I guess, give the accountability back to the parents in helping our students learn.
Thank you. That was very interesting. I like the idea of involving the parents so that they can in turn support the students. And I think I heard two different goals. You had an intermediate high goal for the parents and a novice high for the learners. Very intriguing. We have time for one more table. Would someone you want to share?
We were talking about a setting and what we wanted, so they chose the outside, the nature about what's grown out there wildly. Our timeline was 6 weeks, and how much for maybe 4, depending on the season. We chose at least spring through summer. Our assessment was to take pictures. The students would draw it, color it, the journaling part of it. We would also tell them what types of soils each one grows in, and able to use their 5 senses. And so that's what we're about, and since they're novices, they're just going to be able to, gesture or like we were talking about. Some will remember
words and phrases.
Yeah, just small little things yet.
They're not small. It's all cake, right?
Yeah.
Don't minimize it. It's a lot, right? But yeah, words, phrases, formulaic.
And how you state the question in simple sentences. So.
Okay. All right. Anyone else want to share? Okay.
For Hopi Day School, the way that our program is set up is that our objective there is the Hopi Lavai, and we have it for 45 minutes a day for 2 days a week for the whole year.
Okay.
And we focus on months. For us, we understand that all the students are going to come in as novice because there's no support at home that we always talked about. The retention, everything that's taught, that we've taught through the year, they don't retain it, and they come back and they don't remember what was taught. And that's the struggle that we have. Also, no practice at home. They don't practice it when they go home. For proficiency, in order to get them to be proficient, is we talked about, and I know this was a goal that we've tried many, many times at Hopi Day School, is to collaborate among grade levels, because we all teach our own grade level. Like, I teach in 3rd grade, so I teach the 3rd graders, the Hopi Lavai, and right now, all of us are teaching our own thing, and it's not going to work because we can't get them proficient, and this is coming from myself, because they're learning different things. They're not the same. And so when we collaborate, I think we can get them more proficient in our program and at our school. And that's coming together where kindergarten will start with simple things. And then first grade, okay, we're gonna add on to that. So for my classroom, I'll share a little bit of what I have done. And it took me a couple years to get to this point, because first I started off coming in as a new Levi teacher and not being fluent or speaking as I did when I was a child. I found it hard. How am I gonna teach this language? How am I gonna get them? So I had to find a goal, and after trial and error, doing it how people have done it so many years, going by the months. Well, this month I'm gonna teach this because this is what happens in the month. That didn't work for me. So what I did, I said, okay, my goal is Levi. And what Levi means to me is this: communicating, talking, being able to conversate. So I changed my whole plans, everything that I was doing in there, and I focused on that. And so what I was telling these ladies here, I started with pronouns. I teach my students pronouns because that's everyday words that you hear in the language. And then I'm doing that scaffolding. So I would scaffold on that. Okay, now they know the pronouns. Now I'm going to teach them about family. And family, there's, different words. And that scaffolding goes, like I was telling Kara, the Hopi, people know, we know when we're kids, a big sister or a little sister, we say Vava, Kaka. That we know that. But now when I'm teaching them, okay, well, we're getting older. We're third graders, and we're, growing to adults. So now we're going to build on that. It means the exact same thing, but we're going to use Bava, Oka. So that's how I'm scaffolding those. But using all that, they know the pronouns. So now I'm introducing the family members, just the vocabulary, simple vocabulary words. Itanga, Itana, mother, father. And then they know those pronouns, so then I add on to that to where they're gonna say, my mother is. So that's how I've been doing my classroom, and it's been working, but like I said, it's the part with the retention, the support. You have to keep repeating it, and they come back, they forget, they don't practice it all the time. So that's
another discussion to have, right? And another plan that you need to make.
But
Okay.
yeah, so that's what I came up with, and that's what we came up with together, but a lot of it's my own experience as well.
Okay. All right. So we have come to the end of our time together. There is one last document. I'm giving you homework. So this is the document, the World Readiness Standards for Language Learning. Inside it has can-do statements. Those you will find the most useful because they're written in a way that make them approachable for students and for teachers. So please take a look at that when you have time. And I'd like to thank Ayalai and Ine for the invitation. It was such an honor to meet all of you. I learned a lot today. It was really good experience for me. And so thank you for letting me share in your day and hear your stories. I learned so much. So give yourselves a round of applause. This was a hard work. Thank you very much, everyone.